Hi, Jeanette. How are you doing?
Hey, Philza, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing so great. How is your Tuesday going?
It's going pretty well. A bit of like a gray day here in Ajax, Ontario today, but I'm okay with it. I had a lot of work to do, so I feel like it really just like set me up for success that way. How about you?
Yeah, I got in a nice walk around noon. I live in Mississauga, so it didn't start raining until I got home. So that was nice. But now I'm just inside but you know what they say, right? Like April showers bring May flowers. It's just
Yeah,
a
for
little
sure.
extended, but
Yeah,
I'll take
yeah,
it.
it's okay. I mean, I was admiring the daffodils and how green our grass is right now. So, you win some, you lose some. I
Yeah.
like, lived in Vancouver for a long time, so the rain really doesn't bother me, and I actually find it quite soothing. So, it's nice.
Amazing. It's all about perspective. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm here with Jeanette. Today, she's going to be talking to us about women's health solutions. So, what you can really be doing to just navigate hormonal needs and just understanding the changes that happen from your day to day and as you approach different life stages as well. So, I'm Philza. I'm one of the educators for Smart Solutions. I'm a naturopathic doctor. And while Jeanette is having her talk and explaining some great information to us, I'll be, off camera and muted, but I'll be on the back end answering any questions you have. So you don't have to wait till the end. I'll be here answering questions throughout. So it's a jam-packed hour with a lot of information. So I don't want for you to wait any longer. And as I mentioned, I'm here with Jeanette. She is a certified nutritional practitioner, and she has a focus on digestion and mental health along with women's health. And she's worked with a wide range of professionals from athletes, business professionals, families, and even organizations like the BC Nurses Union and the Canadian Mental Health Association as well. So super happy to have Jeanette here with us today. She's going to drop some knowledge bombs for us. So with that being said, Jeanette, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, thanks so much, Philza. So, hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be with you here tonight and to chat all things women's health and really foundational health. So, hormone health can really be quite confusing. There are so many questions that we ask ourselves on a daily basis. Should I be eating this? Am I stressed? Why is my period not coming when it should? Why do I get period cramps every month? And even things like what supplements should I be taking? Oftentimes we are completely overloaded with information. And in a world where practically every news platform and social media platform are covering the topic of health and wellness, so oftentimes we just feel completely overwhelmed. And it can also be a little bit impossible to be able to decipher all of the information that is out there. So for today, we really are, like Philza was saying, just getting down to basics. We're going to weed through that fluff and really make sure that you understand how to be supporting your hormonal health at a foundational level. Now, everyone that's on the call tonight, all of us, I'm sure, are at different hormonal stages in our life. And because of this means that we all have different needs. Now, whether it's our body trying to support its functioning and having regular periods or preparing for pregnancy, to the changes our bodies go through during perimenopause and right into menopause. All of these stages, we really want to be able to feel vibrant and energized, and we want to be able to show up for our friends and families, and most importantly, ourselves. So I want to introduce you to our case example of tonight, a lovely woman by the name of Stacy. Yes, Stacy is fictional, but when we're kind of thinking about all of the different aspects that Stacy has to go through on a daily basis and all of the different symptoms that Stacy is dealing with, I think all of us can actually resonate with quite a bit of what I'm about to share. So meet Stacy. She has a wonderful life with a partner and 2 kids. She enjoys taking her kids out for hikes on the weekends, as well as watching them play sports, but she always feels like she's in the car and really just shuttling them from one venue to another. But it's worth it. She loves the joy it brings to their lives. She spends times with her girlfriends on the weekends, having fun experiences with new adventures. And on top of this, Stacy is a fierce businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur with a busy store that allows her to fuel her passion for fashion. It seems like she really has the perfect life. Now, unfortunately, Stacy just doesn't feel like herself. She's been feeling off for a while, and she's been feeling more tired on and off and getting headaches more often. She's been having a really hard time falling asleep, and her period has been irregular, or so she thinks. So many women really experience these vague feelings throughout life, whether it be fatigue, poor sleep, headaches, maybe even weight gain and digestive issues sporadically. Is this just a phase, or is it something that you're eating, or is it hormones? So let's take a closer look. So welcome. For today, we really are going to spend the next hour talking about how you can take control of your health and become a better, healthier version of you. As I mentioned before, we're really going to try and cut the jargon and get straight to the point and really leave you with the knowledge and the know-how so you can make changes immediately and start to feel healthier sooner rather than later. So before we get into really the how, we need to understand the what. So we really do need to have an understanding of what hormones are and what they can do in the body. So hormones, very simply put, these are chemicals that carry messages from the glands where they are produced through the bloodstream to cells in tissues or organs throughout the body. Now, we have hormone receptors all over our bodies, literally from our head all the way down through to our toes. And, these special messengers control the majority of our body functions, from our basic primary needs like hunger to more complex systems and functions like our emotions, reproduction. And our hormones have a powerful effect on us. They can dictate how we feel, what our energy levels are, how our metabolism functions, and even more. Our hormones are responsible for everything from our growth and development, our metabolism, sexual function, reproduction, and our mood. And there are many organs and glands responsible for supporting hormones, including those that receive hormone messages, support hormone function. So when I say hormone function, I'm talking about the maintenance as well as the detoxification of excess hormones. And really, without our hormones, our body simply would not function properly. So let's take a quick look at the importance of the glands associated with our hormones. Starting on the right-hand side, so the top right of that pinwheel there, are adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands, in case you don't know, these are part of the kidneys, and they sit just on top of the kidneys there, closer to your back, and they produce a variety of hormones, but namely cortisol, which is known as a stress hormone. Moving further around the pinwheel, our thyroid produces T4 and calcitonin and is associated with TSH and T3 from other organs. And then our liver really it cannot be stressed enough the importance of liver health for hormonal regulation. The liver supports many hormone-related functions, including the manufacturing of cholesterol, the conversion of hormones to other hormones, as well as hormone detoxification. And our gut is also really important. So you got your digestive health here, you have liver health, and then we have our other organs and glands. Now, our ovaries produce our sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So I hope that you can see that each organ really does play an important role in our hormone function. And although they each have an individual function, they really need to be working in harmony to create hormonal balance. So there are many stages of a woman's hormonal life, and at every stage, from puberty to post-menopause, our hormones are in flux, and they need to be in flux in order to remain balanced for that age and that stage. So they're really adapting to where we are at, which is pretty cool. But regardless of whatever life stage you're in, the foundations or the pillars of health that support healthy hormone balance are the same. And this is what they are on the screen here. So, you can think of it, just like our home, a good structure and foundation is really needed to support us. And our hormone health does need the same. So the 4 pillars of hormone health include nutrition and a healthy diet, stage-specific hormone support, which is what we're going to talk about tonight, stress support, as well as exercise and movement. Now, the way you support your foundation on a day-to-day basis will reflect how much support you will need in terms of supplementation. So beginning with our diet. So the question that I would like to pose to you and something that you can reflect on is, how much attention do you put into creating your meals? Your daily diet, so what we actually eat on a regular basis, can have a profound impact on your hormones and how you feel in your body. So if we're looking at one example of PMS symptoms, for example, we see that through research, a healthy Mediterranean diet has been shown to reduce the occurrence as well as the severity of premenstrual pain and PMS symptoms. They showed that a high intake of carbohydrates was associated with premenstrual symptoms. So these symptoms can show up as impaired concentration, behavioral change, autonomic reactions, as well as water retention. And they've also shown that women who eat fruits and vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats actually have a reduction in symptoms compared to women who eat a highly processed diet. Now, that may seem quite simple to you, but let's look a little bit further and actually look at what makes a healthy plate. Now, based on the research for supporting our hormonal and general health, there is no one diet that we should all be following. In other words, there's no best diet. And I know that question is so common, what's the best diet for hormonal regulation? And you'll hear, people from the audience saying paleo, keto, vegan. But I'm here to really debunk that myth. There is no best diet. And it honestly all comes down to your own consistency and how you're setting up your plates every single day. So, for those diets that do cut out entire food groups, we actually, do know that this sets us up for failure in a way. So for example, if you are following a diet that's cutting out grains, for example, you may become deficient in important vitamins like our B vitamins, which are integral in hormonal balance. Now, when it comes to the best diet, we really want everyone to be mindful of the macronutrients. So the macronutrients being carbs, proteins, and fats. Now, healthy fats like from avocado, nuts and seeds, and using healthy oils like olive oil is really important for hormonal health. So if we just look at the image on the screen a little bit more closely, it's really similar to the Mediterranean diet in the sense that we see many servings of fruits and vegetables, but more vegetables in general. And there are a variety of colors on the plate. So we have greens, reds, purples, and yellows. And by eating a variety of colors, you're really getting a different variety of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. Now, the carbohydrates on this plate are all whole grains. So what does whole grain mean? Essentially, it means that the fibers have not been removed and it's not refined. So this actually keeps you feeling more full and doesn't spike our blood sugar as much as refined grains like white breads and pastas. And then moving on to protein, which is again in that top right quadrant of the plate there, we can see that there are different sources of protein. We have eggs, legumes, lentils, tofu, and meat. Now, making sure you have enough protein is incredibly important. I'm going to say it again because it is so important. Making sure you have enough protein is critical for hormone balance. Protein is the source of amino acids, which are the building blocks for different components of the body. Protein keeps us feeling full and is really needed for our hair, our skin, our nails, organ regeneration, muscle tissue, as well as enzymes for reactions occurring in the body. Now, a question that we do get quite often is, okay, so I have this idea of a plate, I have this idea of what I need to be having in my grocery cart. Do I really need to pay attention to what's organic and what's not? Now, from a hormone balance standpoint, when choosing fruits and vegetables, we really do try to encourage everyone to buy organic. It's really best to refer to the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 list by the Environmental Working Group. So these lists, which you see on your screen here, are a catalog of conventionally grown fruits and vegetables with the highest and lowest amounts of pesticide residue. So the Dirty Dozen have the highest amount of pesticides. So it's really best to buy organic whenever possible with this group. Whereas the Clean 15 have the lowest. So it's not as important to buy these fruits and vegetables organic. Okay, moving on to exercise and movement, another very important pillar when it comes to hormone balance. So this is another great strategy to help your body with hormone changes. So, again, questions that we get is how much exercise do you actually need? Well, according to the World Health Organization, 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity per week is recommended, as well as 2 or more days a week of strength training, and 75 to 150 minutes should really be vigorous activity per week. So you really want to get that heart pumping. And then as much as possible, we want to limit sedentary activity. So this means that if you're like me and you work from home for the majority of the time, really trying to fit in some walking breaks like Philza was talking about. Or, if you're, out running errands, try to park a little bit farther away. These are all things that we've all heard before, but putting it into practice every day, again, really building those sustainable habits is what's going to set ourselves up for success for now as well as in the future. Now, maintaining strength as well as muscle mass is also a major predictor of future bone health and independence. So it's really important for women of all ages. Also, a study showed that when perimenopausal and menopausal women who participated in facility-based aerobic exercise training 3 times per week for 12 weeks, they reported greater improvement in insomnia symptoms, sleep quality, and depressive symptoms. So I don't know about you, but getting a good night's sleep as well as my mental health are 2 really big areas that I really try to focus in on. So when I hear something like this, I'm like, sign me up. Where's my local rec center so I can join some aerobic exercises? All right, so moving on to stress and the impact that stress has on our hormones. So, it's really does not take a genius to understand that the last couple of years have been incredibly stressful on all of us. So actually, according to the Gallup Global Emotions 2021 report, 2020 was officially the most stressful year in recent history, with a record high 40% of adults worldwide saying they experienced stress a lot during the previous day. Now, there was a 5% point jump from the 35% in 2019, and that 5% might not sound like a lot, but it represents nearly 190 million more people globally who experience stress this often. Overall, there were double-digit increases in stress in 21 countries and areas and more. So suffice it to say, you are not alone if you have been feeling burnt out and stressed out lately, and it's really not surprising that most of us do feel like we're being held together by a loose thread sometimes, and that, at any given moment, things can snap and our whole world can come tumbling down. So you're certainly not alone, and attending events like this, actually, believe it or not, learning about your health and then implementing some of these strategies to support you also helps to improve your resiliency to stress. So kudos to all of you. Now, a really beautiful quote that our team always loves to share is, it's from Lou Holtz, and it's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. So meaning we can't always change the stress that enters our life. Unfortunately, we do not have, a firm hold on the pandemic and where it will go. But we can do something about how our bodies and how our minds respond to those stressors. And so really talking about holistic support here is really critical for not only stress resilience, but also hormonal regulation. So since we're talking about stress, let's look at our first gland here, and we're going to look at the adrenal glands and how they're involved with our stress response. So the stress response is regulated in your adrenal glands. And again, these are a small gland located at the top of your kidneys. And the adrenal glands produce hormones that help control heart rate, blood pressure, the way the body uses food, the level of minerals in the blood, and other functions, particularly involved in stress reactions. Now, the adrenals are the backup hormone system. So these are really, really important little guys that we want to make sure that we are supporting and nourishing through our lifetime. Now, the moment we believe we could be in danger, the stress response gets activated body-wide and changes start to occur. And this is all through the stimulating effects of our sympathetic nervous system from our brain. So it's our brain that really perceives the stress first, and then our body follows. Now, the degree of the stress response alarm is directly proportional to the degree of the perceived threat. For instance, believing you are only in minor danger will produce a low degree stress response, resulting in physiological, psychological, and emotional changes, whereas believing you are in grave danger will produce a high degree stress response and its resulting body-wide changes. Also, the degree of stress response will determine the length of recovery after the stress has ended. So, for example, a low degree stress response can be recovered from relatively quickly, such as within a few moments to a few minutes or so. However, a high degree stress response will have a much longer recovery window. So when does stress actually become a problem? Because, we kind of alluded to it earlier, just living in your body and being a human, we're going to be experiencing stress on a regular basis. It's kind of part of life. But the issue starts to happen when it is more chronic. So chronic stress itself, this stress reaction is actually protective. There's a reason that we have it. There's a reason that it was part of our evolution. And if something is stressful, if something's happening, the body must react quickly in order to protect us. However, over time, this response creates damage to the body. Stress can cause our blood pressure to increase, our heart rate and blood sugar levels to spike, and inflammatory factors to be released in the body. And all of these actions are risk factors for major diseases such as cardiovascular disease and diabetes. Now, when we're stressed, the body is in a sympathetic state, or that fight or flight mode. Maybe we've heard of this before, meaning that the body is really not concerned with long-term goals like digestion or immune function or procreation. Therefore, chronic stress can actually negatively impact digestion, immune function, and can also lead to health issues such as irritable bowel syndrome, as well as infertility. So now think about what recent stressors you may have experienced. Could be a recent move, a change in position at work, daily family stress of getting your kids to their activities, and let's not forget about the pandemic. As women, we are experiencing some form of stress in our lives every day, and eventually that recovery system doesn't work as efficiently as it should, and we're left feeling high-strung and completely overwhelmed. So some common stress symptoms include things like fatigue, exhaustion, and anxiety, insomnia or interrupted sleep, getting sick frequently, belly fat and weight gain, menopause symptoms, PMS symptoms, headache, upset stomach, as well as muscle tension. So managing stress is incredibly important. Something that I always like to say to my clients and try to remind myself is that you are a human being, not a human doing. So it's really unrealistic for us to assume that we can be go, go, go all the time. So it really is time to take a break and just make time for the things that you love. Really just bring that passion back into your life. And of course, this can look different to everyone. For some, it can mean having alone time to take a break and just breathe and just be in your own personal bubble. And for others, like me, for example, I really recharge by going on adventures and being with people that I love. So just being able to tap into what works for you and actually making time for it can make a really big difference when it comes to how well your body is responding to stress. Because regulating our stress response and really looking after our adrenals and thyroid are the first steps in hormone balance. So speaking of thyroid, let's move on to the thyroid gland. So a healthy thyroid is absolutely needed to feel your best. The thyroid gland, in case you don't know, this is a butterfly-shaped gland that wraps around the front of your windpipe. And the thyroid gland is responsible for hormones that are vital to functions in the body, including energy, metabolism, body temperature, and heart rate. Thyroid function is influenced by many internal as well as external factors like stress and hormonal imbalance, and there are a variety of nutrients that will actually support thyroid health. In particular, the amino acid tyrosine. This one is essential for normal thyroid function as well as thyroid production. So the adrenal thyroid connection. I know there's a lot on this page here, but as I'm talking, just kind of look through some of these symptoms. Now, when we're in a chronic state of stress, your adrenals are in overdrive for extended periods of time, continuously flooding your body with cortisol until really your adrenals can no longer keep up with the constant demand for more and more stress hormones, just leaving you in that state of adrenal fatigue. Now, this flooding and eventual plummeting of stress hormones have many negative impacts on the thyroid. The brain also has a role in regulating thyroid hormones. And once there is high stress hormones present, thyroid hormone production is dramatically slowed down. Now, you can see here all of the symptoms that you can experience between your adrenal gland and thyroid gland. And, it's no wonder that women become frustrated when they aren't feeling well because they just can't figure out why. And if you look at these symptoms, many of them are quite vague. So looking at things like fatigue, muscle aches, headaches, upset stomach, low mood, and constipation, kind of sounds like a normal day for some people. So let's move on to liver health. So what else impacts our hormonal responses? So we know that estrogen and progesterone, these are two of our main sex hormones, and they play a primary role in the health as well as the rhythm of our cycles, from the start of menstruation all the way through to menopause. And when we have too much estrogen fluctuation, we experience hormone havoc. And this can be seen as PMS symptoms or mood changes, even menopausal hot flashes or generalized fatigue. And this can be due to poor estrogen metabolism by our liver due to these external influences really affecting how well it functions. So some of these external influences that impact liver function and how well we're able to regulate estrogen include a poor diet. So think of the individual that's consuming a diet high in sugar, trans fats, and really not enough protein. Poor lifestyle habits like not moving the body enough, stress and not having a good resiliency plan in place. Genetics, smoking, as well as heavy alcohol drinking also can impact how well our liver can function. Now, the liver really does play a huge role in estrogen metabolism. It actually breaks down and removes excess estrogen when our body doesn't need it. But if our liver is being loaded up with chemicals and toxins from multiple sources, then its function can just slow down. And this can then cause an imbalance in our hormones, leaving us feeling completely unwell. Now, did you know, this might be shocking, but the average woman uses 12 personal care products each day with 168 unique chemical ingredients. That's a lot of chemicals for our body to have to process. And not only that, but our liver has to process other day-to-day chemicals like pollution from cars, pesticides, aluminum, parabens, and many more. So what can we do about all of these toxins? Well, okay, so let's just start with our daily activities. So number one for supporting liver detoxification is to limit caffeine, alcohol, and charred meat consumption. I know we're coming up on barbecue season, but just being mindful of how much we're eating each week. Choosing clean beauty products. So of course, if you're shopping at Healthy Planet, they have so many beautiful, clean beauty products from makeup. I even saw that they're carrying self-tanners. There's so many great things out there that you can experiment with. You can also try the app Think Dirty from the Environmental Working Group if you're interested in seeing how your personal care products really measure up. Another way to support liver in this way would be to choose organic foods whenever possible, and focusing on digestion. So actually improving bowel function is really important for supporting overall hormonal health, because constipation can actually lead to the reabsorption of toxins. And so supporting liver detoxification with liver support nutrients can also become an important part to play. Okay, so let's talk about hormones that most people are familiar with, estrogen and progesterone. So whether we are in our fertility years, or maybe we've already had children and we're transitioning from perimenopause to menopause, our hormones are constantly changing. And there's really many reasons why our bodies react the way they do to changing hormones. Now, some women find it to be completely smooth sailing as they transition through those hormonal stages. So think of maybe some women in your lives who, going through their period years, they have absolutely no symptoms, everything is regular, everything's feeling good. And then as they're approaching perimenopause and menopause, no symptoms there, no hot flashes, no sleep issues. Whereas maybe for some of you or for some other women in your lives that they're experiencing all of the symptoms, and it really has a major impact on their daily quality of life, with everything from major period cramps to extreme mood changes and low libido. So you can see here from the chart on your screen is that the fluctuations in hormones across your lifespan. Now, it starts in the teen years. Our body is really trying to figure out what to do with the hormones that are now being made in higher amounts. And it does take time to regulate and get into a normal cycle of 28 days. This is why we see, for some of our young girls going through puberty, they might be experiencing some mood swings. They might be experiencing things like acne. So all of these can be associated back to what is happening in our bodies with our hormones. And then during our cycling or reproductive years, everything seems to be regular. The estrogen is stable and the progesterone is cycling as it should. It's predictable. You get your period when you should get your period. And then as we start to transition into perimenopause, things become more inconsistent. So there's a lot of highs and lows, and it's not only just the decrease in our hormones at this point, but the change in hormones as our biggest problem. So moving on to chat about our ovaries. Now, in our menstruating years, it's really our body's job to cycle hormones in a regular manner so we can feel good, have energy and regular moods, and sleep well. Our body goes through 3 different phases every month. So we have our follicular phase, ovulatory, and luteal phase, and all of are preparing our uterus for fertilization. Excuse me. Now, if fertilization happens, then you're pregnant. And when it doesn't happen, the whole cycle starts again. So when you think about that whole process, it's really no wonder that so many of us experience difficulties with regular cycles, mainly PMS symptoms, irregular cycles, mood swings, and poor sleep. Now, during the menstruating years, many women experience a wide range of ailments, and some of these can present as emotional and behavioral signs like tension or anxious feelings, low mood, mood swings, appetite changes and food cravings, social withdrawal, poor concentration, as well as a change in libido. And other times they are more physical in nature. So this can show up as joint or muscle pain, headaches, fatigue, weight gain and fluid retention, bloating, acne flare-ups, constipation, and even diarrhea. So moving on from this stage, next would be the unspoken stage, and really the stage that we don't think garners quite enough attention, but we're trying to change that. And this is perimenopause, where women may still be experiencing regular periods, but their hormones are starting to decrease in general. Now, this stage can start as early as 10 to 15 years before you actually hit menopause. And women can start experiencing the symptoms of menopause in the late stages of perimenopause due to an increased speed of estrogen dropping. Now, there can be many vague symptoms associated with perimenopause. And so some of them would include things like breast tenderness, PMS symptoms, low libido, fatigue and stress, vaginal dryness, urine leakage and urgency, mood swings, skin changes, thyroid changes, feeling completely overwhelmed, as well as hot flashes and night sweats. Then, finally, when we get to the end of perimenopause, we have menopause and postmenopause, which is really the stage where estrogen and progesterone are at their lowest in a woman's life. Now, menopause is defined as a point in time 12 months after a woman's last period, and it typically occurs between the ages of 49 and 55. Postmenopause is defined as the time after the menopause transition has been completed until the end of life. Now, menopause and postmenopause bring a wide range of symptoms as well as feelings with it, including sleep concerns, forgetfulness, weight management issues, libido issues, and urinary incontinence. So we want support, right? We want to be able to find a way to help reduce the negative symptoms and just enjoy life more and enjoy our bodies more. So let's go back to the start. After discussing all of the glands that are involved in hormone function, let's really just look at all of the factors involved in why our hormones fluctuate. And you can really see the importance of having a strong foundation rooted in healthy eating, exercise, stress maintenance, and also specific nutrients for hormone support. Now, you really want to be armed with solutions. You want to be able to have a toolkit essentially that you can rely on. And this is really, important because you want to be armed with solutions for important health challenges to ensure that you're able to really achieve that optimal hormone health as well as wellness that you're searching for. So I've given you some tips on diet, food, and exercise, but now it's really time to get into the nitty-gritty of what supplements will be best to support your body through hormonal fluctuations, transitions, and everyday use. So let's start talking about herbals, because herbals can be so incredibly powerful when it comes to natural ways to support hormone balance. So certain herbals can actually support the liver for improved detoxification. Herbals can help ease the symptoms of PMS, like breast tenderness, and herbals can help smooth the transition into menopause. Some of my favorite herbs for improving stress resilience and really just decreasing the impact that stress has on our bodies would be things like ashwagandha and rhodiola. And then there's also great herbs to help again with that transition stage through perimenopause and menopause. So chaste tree, indole 3-carbinol, as well as dim are all fantastic. And then black cohosh and sage leaf have both been shown to help reduce the frequency as well as the intensity of hot flashes. So before we get into the smart solutions that I'm sure you're all here to really understand and kind of put together in your toolkit, we wanted to really review who we are. So a little bit about Smart Solutions. For over 10 years, we've been a group of women helping women to lead, educate, empower all women to reach their optimal wellness. We were founded by a women's health expert, and this line of natural supplements provides effective solutions to common health concerns, including hormone imbalance, nutrient deficiencies, weight management, sleep issues, stress, and more. To women globally, Smart Solutions is the natural and effective line of women's health supplements specifically designed to solve for their unique health need. Now, from sourcing ingredients to research to formulation, you'll find a team of expert women at every touch point. And all of our formulations are supported by clinically validated research and are created with the most effective ingredients available and the cleanest sources and processing practices. So this is why, myself as a nutritionist and also just myself as a woman, I've actually been using Smart Solutions for many, many years. And it was the first supplement that was introduced to me from my naturopath about probably 8 years now, before I even started studying nutrition. So a world where women's health and wellness is a priority, this is really our vision for our company. And our mission is to inspire women to take ownership of their own health and wellness and really empower them to share in their journeys, leveraging natural solutions, education, and leadership. Our formulas support every stage of life, meaning we're here to support women no matter their journey. So getting into some of the solutions now, Thyrosmart is definitely one of my go-to supplements. And I would certainly recommend this for someone who is feeling stressed out, overwhelmed, and maybe even falling into that burnout category. Now, Health Canada approved claims for Thyrosmart are that it helps to support mental focus and stamina. It helps to relieve symptoms of mental fatigue related to stress, and it helps to support cognitive function. So this is a herbal-based formula, and it includes 2 of those awesome herbs that I talked about before, ashwagandha and rhodiola, as well as some other support nutrients to really ensure that you're supporting yourself and you're really supporting your resiliency to stress. Now, for Thyrosmart, if you think back to the symptoms of thyroid dysfunction that we mentioned, that whole list there, this product is really a great solution for someone needing that extra support. So the benefits are that it helps the body metabolize carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. It helps to maintain normal production of thyroid hormones and helps to maintain normal function of the thyroid gland. So the suggested use for this one would be to take 2 capsules with breakfast or as directed by your healthcare practitioner. And then we have Estrosmart. So there are a lot of reasons that we can use additional support for hormone balance. Now recall, we chatted a lot about liver health and how it can become overburdened with chemical exposure and just everyday life in general. So including a supplement like Estrosmart that includes a lot of liver support nutrients can be very helpful. So the benefits of Estrosmart are that it helps to maintain healthy estrogen to progesterone balance. It supports glucuronidation, which is part of our liver detoxification pathway, and it also provides a source of antioxidants. And then CycleSmart. So I usually recommend CycleSmart for the person whose period is all over the place. It contains all of the ingredients of Estrosmart plus chase tree berry, otherwise known as Vitex, which is a well-researched herb that is shown to be useful in the support of menstrual irregularities and PMS. And it also includes zinc. And so evidence actually shows that PMS sufferers are more likely to have a low zinc status. And then we have Menosmart Plus. This is definitely a hero ingredient for many, many, many women that are going through the menopausal transition and are experiencing all of those symptoms that we talked about. So the benefits are that it has been shown to help relieve symptoms associated with menopause. It helps to stabilize menstrual cycle irregularities. There are some great ingredients in this herbal formula like black cohosh, sage leaf, as I mentioned, which is fantastic for really reducing the intensity of hot flashes, as well as chase tree berry and gamma oryzanol from rice bran oil and hesperidin, which are both fantastic antioxidants. So just very briefly here, just looking at the time, okay, we're doing good. We're just going to look at some hormonal toolkits across the life stages. So really what we would be recommending for each stage of life. So when we think about our menstruating years, a lot of the issues that we hear from customers are that they experience stress, irregular periods, PMS, and sometimes they need that additional thyroid support. So the products that you see on the left-hand side would kind of be our base hormone balancing suggestions. So either CycleSmart or Estrosmart, depending on the individual's cycle regularity. And then the potential of Adrenal if they're dealing with a lot of stress, and then Thyrosmart for that thyroid support. Now, supportive supplements are found on the right-hand side. And of course, you can learn more about these on the Healthy Planet website, but we have our active collagen, iron, magnesium, B vitamins. All of these are so important for, active living, for supporting our energy, and just also supporting how we feel in our bodies. Now, for perimenopause years, a lot of the issues that we hear about definitely can be related back to stress, irregular periods, because this is where we, again, start to see that very major fluctuation in hormones. For this age group, we do usually see the need for thyroid support. And for some individuals, they may start to experience menopausal symptoms like hot flashes. So if they are starting to experience menopausal symptoms, then I would recommend Menosmart Plus. If they have just completely irregular periods and it's been really difficult for them to track and just get a handle on them, then CycleSmart would be a really great addition. And then for stress support, that's really where Adrenal comes into play. And then for menopause and post-menopause years, again, we might be looking at some menopause symptoms. So Menosmart Plus definitely needs to be top of mind. Thyroid support is usually needed at this time, depending on symptoms, and then stress support. And then on the right-hand side, you will also see some other supportive supplements. So we have some combination formulas like Sleep Smart, Bone Booster, and Sex Smart. So Sleep Smart helping with, really just getting back into a really good rhythm with your sleep. bone booster, because we do tend to see that we need a little bit more bone health support at this age. And then Thyrosmart to really help improving libido. We also have our Love Lube up there, which is really popular. GLA oil, which is a fantastic fatty acid, and then our B Smart as well. So I think, the main takeaway here is to really understand where you are on your hormone journey. Are you in your cycling years? And what does your cycle look like? Is it regular? Have you been able to track it? Being able to really get more in tune with your symptoms, what they mean, what they could be correlated back to, can really provide some fantastic insight in how we can be supporting ourselves long-term and holistically. So thank you so much for joining us for the last hour. I would love to stay connected with everyone. So you can find Smart Solutions on Instagram at Smart Solutions, as well as on Facebook. You can just search us Smart Solutions CA. And we have a little bit of time for questions, so I'll check the chat box and see if there is anything left over that I can answer for you. And if you have to pop off, then I will just say thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully you learned something, and have a wonderful evening.
I will say, Jeanette, that if everyone who enjoyed this conversation today and loved the learning, then we offer a lot of educational material and webinars. We have a bunch of blogs, we have health conditions all on our smartsolutions.com website. So you can check out our health hub for blogs, for health conditions, and even events that we have. We have some two great webinars that are coming up later on in the month. So you can definitely check us out if you like the learning and if you want to learn more about Smart Solutions and how we support hormones. And there are 2 questions, so take it away, Jeanette.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Felza. Okay, so from Susie, we see, are there any recommendations on how to treat teenage acne? So for sure, we definitely want to be looking at stress management as well as the diet. So what is the diet looking like for this individual? Obviously, this is actually something that I've reflected on recently, thinking about my teenage years and, the types of foods that I was eating in the cafeteria and from the vending machine. So just, without, trying to evoke any like harsh rules or anything like that, but just like providing some education on the importance and really the connection between diet and our skin. We can also look at supporting with liver support, and, depending on the age, again, our products are really designed for adults. So we want to be looking perhaps with some food solutions. So really looking at bitter greens. So maybe starting to introduce something like a kale smoothie in the morning, just depending on how things are going to work for this individual. And water. Water is a really big thing that I see for teenagers in particular to just not be drinking enough of. So a couple of key things here: diet, making sure that we're drinking enough water, and then looking at liver support. Fantastic. And there is another question here about, are there any preservatives and fillers in your products? So you will find that our Smart Solutions formulas, whether it is an individual ingredient or a combination ingredient, they are all natural and they are all designed to work with the body. And when it comes to any sort of preservatives, it might be something like a vitamin C, depending on the formulation, if it's our fish oil or something like that. But yeah, traditionally, no. Great questions, everyone. See if there's any more here. Feel free to keep them coming. Excellent, excellent.
Jeanette, there is a question in the chat.
Yes.
How does Glucosmart product support with weight loss, especially if it's hormone related? I believe that we do have the inositol in the Glucosmart. But Jeanette, what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think the main thing with the inositol too is that it helps with blood sugar regulation. So it helps the way that our body is able to regulate the insulin that we may be getting, that we will be getting from our food, and how our body is able to essentially metabolize it and use it. Yeah. Wonderful. See if there's anything else. Oh, this is an interesting question that we get quite often. The question is, how long can you take Menosmart, and should you stop after a few months and restart, or can it be continuous? So this is really a case by case, and I really do encourage individuals to, again, just take some time and pay attention to their symptoms. A little while ago, actually, I was doing a presentation for some pharmacists out in BC, and there was one pharmacist who swore by Menosmart, and so she was taking it throughout perimenopause and then until the end of menopause, and then afterwards she stopped. So, paying attention to where you are in your cycle and how long you've been in menopause for can be really really strong indicators for how long you should be taking Menosmart. Hopefully that made sense.
I believe there's another question in the chat, Jeanette, about how many supplements can you take at once? Can you take more than one of the supplements at the same time? That's the question from a man.
Okay, yes, for sure. So yeah, again, very common question. And to be honest, a lot of us will combine some of the smart solutions. So we do want to be just kind of aware with our Adrenal as well as our Thyrosmart to just make sure that we're not overdoing it. So I don't know if you remember, Philza, the exact amount there for those two. But those two would be the ones that I would just, speak with your healthcare practitioner to make sure that you're not overdoing it. But for example, I've taken Thyrosmart together with Adrenal as well as B complex for quite a while, and that combination serves me very well.
Yeah, I think with Thyrosmart and Cyclesmart, they're very similar. Cyclesmart has the added Vitex and I believe zinc. So between those two, you don't need to be on both. Just pick and choose either Thyrosmart or Cyclesmart. So if Thyrosmart, there is another question in the Q&A or the chat about which is best for a liver detox. Thyrosmart is really good with that. So it has those herbs in it that help with the liver detox. And then Cyclesmart has the Vitex in it, which is really good for regulating hormone, like regulating any of the stabilizing any menstrual irregularity. So if you're having a lot of issues with your menstrual cycle and you need a little bit more support with that, plus liver detoxification, and you have symptoms like breast pain, then choose a Cyclesmart. So if between those two products, I don't recommend people to be on both, especially with Thyrosmart and Cyclesmart, pick and choose. But if you say you need hormone support and you have nutrient deficiencies, then that's totally fine, right? You can take a Cyclesmart, and then if you feel like you need more energy or you just want more nutrient support, then take our prenatal, right? So that can also be something that you can do.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Philza. So another question that I see is questioning if Adrenal is good for perimenopause or menopause when you're under stress. So Adrenal is great for any of the life stages when you are under stress. Like I mentioned, this is one of my favorites. I feel like it's a lot of people's favorites, and for good reason. It does help you just show up in such a better way and help with overall stress resilience. Perfect. And then the question about Lorna being involved is, so Lorna Vanderhay was the founder of Lorna Vanderhay's Smart Solutions. And so she actually became a part of Jameson Wellness quite a few years ago. And now she is focusing on other endeavors with her family and whatnot. And so the beautiful thing is that we have this great foundation from Lorna, and now with Jameson Wellness, we have our 360 Pure Guarantee, just all of the research and regulatory support that is going into our formulas now. They were always fantastic, and we're ensuring that that quality is really being carried through for this generation and beyond. Okay, so another question, and this might be our last one for this evening, from Nikki, saying, which supplement do you recommend for everyday use for overall hormone balance, or does it really depend on symptoms and stress factors? Yeah, Nikki, that is an interesting question for sure. I don't think that there can be a blanket, one size fit all approach. I think it would depend on your own symptoms that are showing up. If you are experiencing premenstrual syndrome and you have things like breast tenderness or cycle irregularities, thinking back and really going back to that symptom list, you might want to consider something like Estrosmart or CycleSmart, depending on the regularity of your cycle. And then one that I do feel like a lot of us can benefit from is Adrenal. And that's really going back to your stress levels and how well you're able to regulate your own stress response.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jeanette, for, just giving us so much information and answering the questions and being here. I'm sure we all appreciate it. I always love learning from you. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And do check out Smart Solutions, all of our health hub for more education and read our blogs. And yeah, have a great evening, everyone. Thanks, Jeanette.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night. Thanks, Filza.